The Halo series is going to be 25 years old soon. There's countless games and a list of weapons so long that if you were to include all of them in a single Halo game, it would probably be the perfect first-person shooter, and I'd never need to play anything again. Maybe, unless a new Arc Raiders or Helldivers update comes out. Whenever I make a new Evolution video, I inevitably get someone in the comments who asks if I'd ever cover the one-off weapons, the guns that only ever showed up in a single Halo game. And you know what? I'm not putting that idea off any longer, so today, let's go over the many one-off weapons in the Halo series. So here's the rule: no cheating. Halo 3 and ODST, despite running on the same engine, are different video games, which means no, the Mauler is not a one-off weapon. Same goes for the silenced SMG, which was in ODST, but also Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer. But what about the anniversary graphics of Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2? So those I will count, since they are the exact same game under the hood, with just a layer of paint applied over the top. Oh, also, if we arrive at a weapon that breaks the first rule, or I forget a weapon or arbitrarily choose not to include a weapon, the second rule is that I'm allowed to be a hypocrite. Also, I'm very talented and cool, and everyone wants to be my friend. Halo Combat Evolved was the first game in the series, and it was so perfect that every weapon in its sandbox went on to appear in future installments. So that means we begin this list with Halo 2. Why is it called Halo 2? Because it has exactly two weapons that are exclusive to this game and this game alone. The first is the Scarab gun. In the level Metropolis, players need to chase a Scarab, this massive Covenant walker tank, as it tears its way through the city of New Mombasa. Near the end of the level, though, on top of a seemingly unimportant bridge between two skyscrapers, rests the Scarab gun. It's a simple plasma rifle that's coded to fire Scarab gun blasts. But how did it end up here? The story goes that Joe Staten, narrative and cinematics director, used this thing for specific cinematic moments and just forgot to remove it from the game when he was done. Though another developer, Tyson Green, remembers it being intentionally placed there for the fans to find. How'd it get up here? The world may never know. In the anniversary graphics of the campaign, the Scarab gun's effects were redone to be a bit more high fidelity, though I think they seem a bit smaller in scale. Though that's probably a good thing, because now you can actually see what you're shooting at. What do you think? The second one-off weapon is the UNSC MG turret. Low to the ground and mounted on a chunky metal rig with a bit of UNSC wartime humor scribbled on it, it feels ripped straight out of a World War II machine gun encampment. You'll find it deployed around the battlefield, or occasionally set up for you by your AI Marine buddies. And it nails that fantasy of crouching down, manning the gun, and just mowing down waves of enemies as they try to break your defensive line. It's incredibly satisfying to use. I always feel borderline unstoppable behind one, and a huge part of that comes down to the sound design. You see, Bungie picked a very popular stock sound effect for the M60, and you've definitely heard this sound in other media, and for good reason. It's powerful, it's meaty, and I don't know how else to say this. It sounds chewy? In the Halo 2 remaster, the updated turret strikes a solid balance between being higher fidelity and respecting the original spirit. Even the sound design is clearly trying to land somewhere between respecting the original firing sound and something a bit more realistic. My only real nitpick is the loss of the silly little dead-face doodle on the base of the MG turret. It's a tiny thing, but it takes away a bit of personality from the weapon in UNSC. At the same time, though, I get it. Having the exact same hand-drawn scribble on every single turret base in the game probably works better at lower fidelity than it does in something more photorealistic, where weird gamey things like repeated textures stick out a bit more. And if you're wondering why I'm not talking about the plasma turret or the standing UNSC turret, that's because those appear not only in the original Halo 2, but also in the Master Chief Collection's Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer, which was built in the Halo 4 engine and feels fundamentally different from the original Halo 2. For all intents and purposes, that's its own game. In Halo 3 and ODST, things get a little bit tricky. There aren't really many true one-off weapons here. As I said before, the Mauler appears in both Halo 3 and ODST. The silenced SMG pops up later in Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer of all places, and the silenced Magnum was retroactively added to Halo 3 in the Master Chief Collection. Yeah, the silenced Magnum technically wasn't in the original Halo 3 release, but remember, rule number 2, I'm letting myself have this cheat. So with that, we move on to Halo Reach. Reach actually introduced quite a few weapons that never showed their face again, which is kind of surprising because a lot of them are cool. The first is the Plasma Repeater. It's a real interesting piece of Covenant kit. What makes the repeater stand out is how overheating is turned into a core mechanic rather than just a punishment. When the weapon is cool, it fires quickly but with poor accuracy. As it builds heat though, the fire rate will slow down and the accuracy will tighten up, making it more effective at long range. And at any moment, you can hit the reload button to vent the heat from the weapon and reset it. At the time, Bungie Sandbox designers Sage Merrill and Josh Hamrick explained that the Plasma Repeater existed so that the Plasma Rifle could remain weak and primarily for campaign AI to fire at the player. For the multiplayer, they needed a pretty good Covenant fully automatic weapon that could serve as an analog to the assault rifle for asymmetrical Covey versus UNSC modes, and the Plasma Repeater was the solution. Next up is the Plasma Launcher. This is basically the Covenant's heavy-hitting counterpart to the Spartan Laser. Holding the trigger lets you prime up to 4 plasma grenades, which then track your target when fired and detonate a short time after impact. It's really good against vehicles and can absolutely punch above its weight, but I always felt like it was overshadowed by the fuel rod gun and the Spartan Laser, at least in this anti-vehicle department. Weirdly enough though, this weapon actually snuck into Halo 5 temporarily by mistake. Thanks to some legacy code shenanigans, the Plasma Launcher was lost in the Halo engine, deep in there somewhere that the developers couldn't find. And in the Warzone Firefight update for Halo 5, it suddenly reappeared. It was sporting the Reach model, the effects were broken, and if you picked it up it had no first-person view model, and the whole thing was just super buggy, but it was there. The Plasma Launcher from Reach somehow got into Halo 5. It was quickly patched out of the game, but it was this really funny little moment in Halo 5's lifespan. Maybe the Plasma Launcher needs to come back. It's clearly not ready for the grave yet. Then there's the Focus Rifle. This thing gets absolutely dunked on by the Halo community, and I'm here to say I'm not going to be hearing any Focus Rifle slander. You, stop it! The Focus Rifle is essentially a Covenant sniper rifle that fires a continuous energy beam instead of a single high-damage shot like a normal sniper. Its real purpose was to relieve some of the pressure caused by Jackal snipers in the campaign. Instead of them just instantly killing the player the second they see you, the beam would slowly strip down the shields and then the health of the player, which gave you just enough time to break line of sight. But it would still apply enough pressure that encounters were shaken up whenever Jackal snipers arrived. Changing the sniper rifle from that one hard-hitting beam to a continuous energy beam turned the Jackal snipers from an oppressive threat into a suppressive threat. And honestly, I like it. It's a cool weapon. And on the MCC, with keyboard and mouse aiming, this thing is a monster. The final one-off weapon in Reach, it's the Covenant Needle Rifle. And it felt like a show stealer for the game's sandbox, more so than the armor abilities. It has a medium range scope, a slow fire rate, and if you land 3 shots on an unshielded target, they'll violently explode, just like a needler. It's great in both campaign and multiplayer. The slower fire rate keeps the thing in check so that it's not too dominant, and it's probably my favorite weapon in Reach. The concept art and silhouette explorations for it are also really fascinating to read through. It took a lot of iteration to get this weapon where it ended up in the final game, and its lasting impression speaks for itself. This gun is damn charismatic. In fact, depending on when you're watching this video might already be outdated, because the Needle Rifle is slated to be returning in the upcoming Halo CE remake. Isn't that nice? Moving on to Halo 4, there's really only one weapon that qualifies as one-off: the Sticky Detonator. And that's a shame, because it's easily the coolest weapon in Halo 4. Hell, it's the weapon they used to announce Halo 4 in the reveal trailer. It fires out a massive sticky explosive, and once it lands on a target, a little motion tracker pops up on the weapon. All you need to do is wait for the right moment, then manually detonate it. You could set traps for vehicles, ambush groups of enemies, or stick someone and let them panic run back to their buddies before blowing the whole squad up. I love this thing. and I really wish it came back. Halo 5 is where things start to get interesting. We've got to start with the most controversial weapon of all. Yeah, the rocket launcher of Halo 5, because once upon a time, this was the new design for Halo's rocket launcher. Back when this new design was revealed in 2014 before the public beta of Halo 5, the community hated it. There was huge pushback on redesigning such an iconic weapon like the Spanker, and the backlash was so severe that the devs promised to bring back the original rocket launcher, which they did 2 months after the game launched. But it was nuts how much of a shit show this redesign caused. But years later, divorced from all of that drama, I'll be honest, I always kinda liked this thing. Don't get me wrong, not as a replacement for the Spanker, but as its own little rocket launcher within the Halo universe, it's not bad. It's got strong sound design, a satisfying reload animation to boot. I'm not sure why I always had a connection to this weapon. I'll be honest, I think it just works in the Halo universe. Another neat addition is the Plasma Caster. It's a really cool design for a Covenant weapon, with the grip and stock reminding me a bit of the Plasma Repeater. In fact, this whole weapon feels very reach-pilled in a way that's hard to articulate. It fires explosive projectiles that bounce around before detonating, and when charged, 2 fins will deploy on either side of the weapon, giving it this alien crossbow look. The charged shot sticks to targets and then releases a swarm of bouncing explosives, which is exactly as chaotic as it sounds. There's also this really funny bit from the Halo 5 E3 demo when Agent Locke says, "Plasma Caster."
Plasma Caster.
I don't know why that moment in the demo was so funny.
Plasma Caster.
Plasma Caster.
Plasma Caster.
Post-launch, Halo 5 also introduced the Safeguard Sentinel Beam. Unlike the traditional Sentinel Beam, which feels like you're not really carrying a gun, more so just hobbling around a broken piece of a Sentinel and pointing it at enemies, this one definitely feels like it was designed to be a gun. It's got all the Promethean design traits: floaty bits, glowing orange lights, aiming down the sights functionality with a flashy animation, and when it's fired, holographic patterns begin to grow across the surface. Despite having used the Safeguard Sentinel's beam weapon, we still don't actually know what a Safeguard Sentinel looks like in Halo. Maybe that's a mystery for a future game. Another Promethean weapon exclusive to Halo 5 is the Splinter Turret. It fires slowly, but each shot launches a massive explosive round that absolutely deletes targets. It was kind of slept on back in 2015, but in modes like Warzone Assault or Big Team Battle, this thing absolutely destroyed. The turrets from the Gauss and Rocket Warthogs were also made usable on foot. The rocket pod is alright, but I always felt like it worked much better on the back of a Warthog since the slow movement and travel time of the rockets sort of made you a sitting duck. The Gauss turret, on the other hand, was nasty, but I gotta say, it almost looks like a gun from Doom 2016. Does anyone else see that? Halo 5 is also the only Halo game in the series that lets players wield a hunter's arm cannon. The Wicked Grasp fires a burst of machine gun plasma fire, a new attack given to the hunters in Halo 5. But if you want the real deal, the Berserker's Claw lets you charge and unleash the hunter's primary explosive attack. What makes this especially unsettling is that the weapon is clearly still alive. You can see hunter worms wiggling and writhing around at the back. The gun is constantly shuddering and trembling like it's angry. I'm not sure if hunter limbs can become independently alive if cut off from the rest of the hunter, but this gun feels like it's alive and unwilling, like your Spartan is forcing it to fire. It's cool. And finally, the latest game in the series is Halo Infinite, and it introduces a ton of new weapons to the series, but it's still too early to say which one of these will be true one-offs. I do have to say though, there is one weapon that I bet good money we'll never be seeing again: the Fuel Rod Spanker. This weapon was added to Halo Infinite post-launch to fill the role the Fuel Rod gun used to occupy in the franchise's combat loop. But following Infinite's rough launch and shrinking live service scope, the Sandbox team weren't given the resources to build a fully fledged Fuel Rod gun from scratch, with its own design, production value, and everything. So instead, they got clever and they kit-bashed one. They took the Spanker, applied an unreleased cosmetic microtransaction skin to it, and then modified the stats so that it would fire hunter splinter gun projectiles instead of rockets. And just like that, the fuel rod spanker was born. And honestly, it's a blast to use. It feels great to find. It shreds phantoms in firefight, and it's fantastic for defending objectives against vehicles. But the community response was overwhelmingly negative because of just how low budget this thing was. The fuel rod spanker was a clever solution to a resource problem that the developers had. Like, listen, if management says no, you can't have the resources, you gotta work with what you have. And this is what they came up with. And while the sandbox of the game benefited from it, the community wanted the real fuel rod gun back. And they hated this thing. So I'm sure we're gonna see the fuel rod gun again in the future. I'll also be happy to just leave this thing in Halo Infinite as well. So there you have it, all the one-off weapons in the Halo series. I think my favorite is either the needle rifle or the sticky detonator, but they all honestly have a certain charm to them. Yeah, even the fuel rod spanker. I think part of the reason that one-off weapons are special in Halo and should be celebrated is due to the identity they give each game. It lets different Halo games be, that's the one with the focus rifle, or that's the one with that plasma caster thing, you know? Or, hey, that's the one with that pineapple rocket launcher thing. I think the creativity of the weapons we talked about here shows how special Halo is as a franchise. Games rooted in more military and grounded arsenals have limits on how wacky they can get before it just becomes stupid looking. But Halo has the ability to get creative as a core aspect of the franchise. Weapons can be as mundane as an MG turret or as wild as an alien explosive crossbow. But what about you? Yes, you, Jonathan. Talking to you. What's your favorite one-off Halo weapon? And what is a weapon I didn't include that you think would be what's a weapon I didn't include that you think should be classified as a one-off weapon in a court of law? Let me know down below, because I need to lawyer up.